It's time for Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network. Tiger Talk is brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis. Banking one story at a time. The Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute. Comprehensive cutting-edge care giving you every reason to choose Hayes Med. United Rentals. Your partner for equipment rental, sales, and service. VTI. Your John Deere dealer. With locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. VTI, our family in partnership with your family. The Taco Shop. Order by phone or use the Taco Shop app. Dine in, carry out, or delivery. The Taco Shop. You've never had it so good. Royal Roofing. Give your home the royal treatment with Royal Roofing. And Eagle, our community connected. Now, Tiger Talk with the voice of the Tigers, Gerard Wellbrock.
And good morning. Welcome into Tiger Talk here on this Monday. Good to have you with us as we begin our basketball portion with Mark Johnson and Talia Cars. We were going to have Chris Brown on, the final football wrap-up today, but the MIAA coaches meetings for the all-conference team are taking place now. So Coach could not be with us, so we're going to do basketball a week early, get started as they got their seasons underway officially this past weekend with a couple of ball games. So we'll dive into that here in just a little bit. Mark will join us for the first couple of segments, and then Talia will join us for the last half of the program. Get a rundown of everything going on there. Busy non-conference slate to start the year. Tiger football did win, though, Saturday, 13-7 at Emporia State, so they finished 6-5 in a log jam of teams at 5-4 in the MIAA. In case you're wondering, two conference teams make the playoffs. Northwest has to go to Harding. Pitt State gets to host Chadron State in the playoffs this week. Tiger men's soccer, they won the GAC tournament 2-1 over Rogers State. They'll find out tonight, 6 o'clock, the NCAA selection show, but should be playing at home to host some regional action later in the week. Men's and women's basketball, as we said, both got their season started. The women in St. Joe, Missouri picked up a couple of wins in the Central Region Showdown. Tiger men split, beat number 9 Southwest of Minnesota State, lost to a good Concordia St. Paul squad, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. We'd love to hear from you. Chime in with a question. All you have to do is go to FHSUathletics.com, click on fans. You'll get that drop-down menu, bottom right corner. Tiger Talk, ask the coach, submit your question. If we use it, a chance to win one of those beautiful Mix 103.3 T-shirts. We're going to take our first break. When we come back, men's coach Mark Johnson will join us. Fort Hays State Tiger Talk today on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC from Eagle.
So I had a gentleman come into Golden Belt Bank, very confused with an estimate of closing costs and fees he received from another bank. And I said I would sit down with him and go over these costs. We also issued some closing costs and fees that he could compare. He ended up choosing Golden Belt Bank as his bank. I would do that for anybody that walked in here, anybody that was confused. I really do want them to get the best deal that they can. We try and do everything possible to make their dream come true. Golden Belt Bank, one story at a time.
This is the Tiger Sports Network.
Welcome back to Tiger Talk here on this Monday. Good to have you with us. Our first basketball program of the year. And we're joined now by head men's coach Mark Johnson. Tigers off to a 1-1 start. They had a nice win on Saturday. Knocked off number 9 Southwest Minnesota State at home. 65-56 coming from behind in the first half to do so. And then kind of ran into a buzzsaw a little bit yesterday in Concordia St. Paul, losing to the Golden Bears by a final of 79-68. I guess just your thoughts. Nice win to start, and I know we talked before the game yesterday. You knew just the style of play and what they had coming back, that Concordia St. Paul is going to be a tough challenge, I guess. You went 0-2 last year up in Marshall against these two teams. You got a split today, so a little bit ahead of the game at this point than you were a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, two really good teams, different styles of play, like you said. Excuse me, really played well, I thought, the second half. Guarded well the whole game against Southwest Minnesota. A little similar to us, big, strong, physical team. We are similar pace of play, and had a great win. The problem with basketball, sometimes you got to turn right back around and do it again. We didn't really have any time to really enjoy that. Getting off to a good start. The second game, St. Paul's, they're an offensive juggernaut, have for the last few years. That's their style of play. And for whatever reason over the years, I feel like we struggle defensively with teams that just play. If you run a lot of actions and, structures and screens, we can guard that pretty well. We always have. It's the teams that are more loose, free-flowing, just kind of go play like, and they do it a great job. It's play in the back gyms, as I would say. Just a bunch of guys know how to play, put their head down, play one-on-one. You don't help. They try to score. You help. They move really well without the ball and just play. And those type of teams have always given us a problem, I think, on the defensive end, and that showed. The thing that's hurting us this weekend, if you look at the three things that stand out, we're turning the ball over too much. I mean, we shot 53% from the field for the weekend, and that's pretty good. If we did that all year, we'd be possibly leading the nation in field goal percentage. So, our biggest problem, we're turning it over about 5 or 6 more times a game, the first 2, than we did all of last year. Well, you take that in, you're leaving about 6 points off the board by not getting 6 more shots off. So that's a problem we need to do better with. The other problem is rebounding. We need to rebound a little better. Now, I think with Juju, if he gets healthy, he's one of our better rebounders. Ben Johnson, who we're debating if we're going to redshirt or not, those 2 guys are probably our 2 best rebounders. So I think they're not out there, so there's a way we can fix that if we feel like we need to. And then the last thing is just getting beat at the three-point line. We don't take a lot of them, and, so we're getting beat by, I think we made 5 3-pointers for the weekend. Our opponents made 16, so you break that down. They're out. We're getting outscored by about 16.5 points a game from the 3-point line, and in today's world, that's a big deal. I don't think we're going to be a prolific 3-point shooting team. I think we can shoot an okay percentage, but I don't know if we have enough guys that are just going to let it fly. So, I mean, if we're not going to take a lot, we got to do a much better job of defending the 3 than we did against St. Paul.
You mentioned Juju, one of the new faces, senior transfer from St. Anselm out of Lawrence, started his career at Northern Colorado. I know he's been bothered by the calf. Any update? What's his status right now? Where's he stand? Because obviously he was a big piece you're counting on coming into the year. Yeah,
I mean, I think he wants to play this Wednesday. I think, we're going to try to hold it off just one more, maybe try to get him back next Sunday. We play Sunday, Tuesday, Saturday the following week. And then we have conference. So probably just caution on the side of air here and sit him out one more game, which is going to be a hard Division II game on the road. You hate to not have all your pieces these first 3 important games, but we think for him in the long term, so try to get him in next Sunday and get a few minutes going before we start conference.
But obviously it gives you some size and athleticism and all those good things. That'd be good to see. Let's talk about your team a little bit. I mean, you look at it, you've got some faces back, but you also have a lot of new guys. It's kind of, you have veterans, but then you got a lot of new guys for the first time. How's that blend? How's that mix gone, do you think, up to this point?
Yeah, we have that mix, but, the thing about sometimes, even though you have a lot of guys back, guys' roles are changing. I think Kyle's the only guy that's really kind of has that similar role. You look at Dan's back. We need more out of him than a year ago, and I think he's capable of doing that. He showed that in practice. He had a good first game. Didn't play at his best yesterday. But you look at Eli. Eli's a completely different role than a year ago. He did a really good job yesterday. 23 points, career high. Lucas is doing a different role than he has in the past. So even though we have a lot of returners, most of them are trying to do something new or new is being asked of them. And so we're still a work in progress. We got some new guys. We got to, the older guys, Blake's getting in there and doing his role. We got to get Juju out there. And then I think a guy that really had a great opening weekend is Javari. Javari came here after 1 year junior college. We redshirted him. He's only a sophomore, and he had a really good opening weekend. He gives us a little more juice on both sides of the ball. Defensively, he's athletic enough to speed it up. And he's just he has a knack for scoring, and he can shoot the 3, but he's kind of an old school mid-range. He's really good at the mid-range, and he had a great opening week. And we need to get more guys. Like I said, for the most part, though, offensively, outside of turning the ball over a little bit too much, we did fine. We had, let's face it, we haven't been real good offensively lately. So that's not St. Paul. We just could not. Very similar to a year ago, we just could not stop them. They killed us from the 3-point line. They got too many. When we weren't getting enough stops, they were getting the few stops we got. They were getting the offensive rebound. So that was the side of the ball that probably gave us more problems than even the offensive side. But obviously we need to be better on offense.
And so much has been made about your defense. You've had the top defense in Division II the last couple of years, and it's going to slip eventually, just with personnel and the guys you lose. But it looks like this team still has a chance to be pretty good defensively. I know it was a rough start, but then second half, 36% for Concordia St. Paul, and a pretty good defensive effort. I mean, a lot of it's always matchups, but it looks like this group has a chance to still be pretty good. Maybe not to the level last year. It's unfair to always compare them to some of those teams, but should be able to hold their own, I think.
Yeah, basketball, you can't, you don't get to play one side of the ball, so you have to have you try to play the guys who can guard, but you still got to have some type of offensive ability. So, I think we could be a solid defensive team with our size and physicality. I don't know if we'll be what we've been, but that's asking a lot. We've been exceptional. Guys are different, teams are different, players are different. I felt like the last few years, not only this the athletic, but the IQ on defense and the feel on defense. Our guys knew when to help, when not to help, how to cover up a teammate when it wasn't needed. But we didn't have great feel on offense. I feel like this year we probably have a little better feel on offense. Our guys don't quite have great a feel on defense, and that's something you can work on every day, but you kind of have a feel or you don't. And so I still think we can be good, maybe really good. It'd be very challenging to be what we've been, But if we do, we're going to have to do it in a little bit different way. Like I said, you look at matchups last year against Southwest Minnesota. Their center just wore us out for 20. We had Sean. Sean was a great ball screen defender, perimeter defender as a center. Wasn't necessarily a big physical guy inside. Eli did a phenomenal job on him. We're much more physical. You pounded into the post. We're going to be able to guard more this year. Probably don't have Sean's athleticism in that position. So it's a little give and take. We're going to do some things better. Obviously some things worse, but we just need to keep improving. Last year I didn't feel like we walked away and felt like we were going to be a very good defensive team. I thought we were dropping last year after opening weekend. It's like we can't guard like we did the year before, and we ended up maybe even being slightly better. So it's too early to tell. We'll see, but I know our guys will keep working at it.
You mentioned Eli, and it was good to see yesterday. Career high 23 points. He had broken his career high by halftime already at 14, 7 rebounds, and it looks like he's just better offensively. He got minutes a year ago, and he's got a big, strong body, but you can just see that he's got a year of college basketball under his belt, and he looks more confident on the offensive end, and you don't push him around down low.
No, he's a big physical guy, and he just has a knack around the post. He has a really good feel for post moves, which you don't really – it's not a whole lot of kids today. They're more perimeter-oriented, even big guys, step out. But Eli's just kind of that traditional old-school center. He's got really good moves, a good touch. He's a work in progress with his shot. He needs to be able to, make his free throws. He needs to be able to hit mid-range shots. Part of his problem is he's kind of got big hands. I always feel like kids with big hands, they have a hard time. The ball is like anybody, take yourself if you've ever shot a tennis ball and things like that. But he's gotten better at that. But yeah, he's a tough kid. I thought he guarded really well for the most part this weekend against those guys, and he's just will continue to get better, and it's nice to see. We've been lucky and fortunate. You see the progression of a lot of our players the longer they're in the program.
You mentioned Dan McCuna inside, and had a great opener against Southwest. Struggled a bit yesterday, but he kind of came on toward the end of the year, and looks like he's played a little more physical, a little more tougher. And again, another year in the program. Hopefully, he can take that next step, because you can see the athleticism and what he can give you.
Yeah, I mean, if you went through practice every day, came to practice all preseason, and watched just by what your eye test tells you, and then you look at his stats, he's by far been our best player. He's really done that in scrimmages. He did fine against Southwest. He didn't have his best the other night. But, the thing we got to figure out sometimes, when you take Dan, Eli, Juju, sometimes, and obviously Kyle, some of our best players are all similar position guys, which makes it difficult, to kind of put all the pieces together. We still are a long way away from figuring out what's best. You can work all preseason, practice against each other, it takes some games to figure out what's your best group, what's how you're going to play, style of play. You can have an inclination of what you think you need to do, but you really probably need to get 5-7 games under your belt before you find a comfort zone of how you're going to play.
It's good to ask you about that. How long does it normally take? I'm sure every team's a little bit different, just to figure out what buttons you need to push and how you go about it.
Yeah, I mean, I always say it's the same thing as redshirt. Now, they haven't done a thing this year for the first time with true freshmen. They can play up to 30% of the games and still redshirt, because we used to always say that too about redshirt redshirting, you really never know until you get about 5 games in. Sometimes you're like, hey, we really need this kid. Brady Worsa guy, an example. I thought we really needed him, and we didn't that year, and he didn't play a whole lot as a freshman. It would have been nice to have him have another great year at the end of his career. And then you've had other people like, hey, we don't need him, and then you get about 5 games in, you're like, oh, man, we're thin at that position. We could have used him. We probably shouldn't redshirt. So, and it's the same way, I think, when you're playing, how you're going to play, where you're going to put the pieces together. You need some games to figure it all out.
And you have a good freshman class, a big freshman class. I imagine you're still going through that process, figuring out who you're going to maybe use and who you are going to redshirt.
Yeah, I mean, we like our freshman class. That's the question. We could probably use one of them for sure this year to help, but the question is, do we do what's best for this team and get immediate gratification, or do we do what's best for that individual player? And it's kind of like Kyle. We redshirted Kyle because we thought he was going to play 12 minutes a game, 10 minutes a game, but was that worth it? Because otherwise this would be his last year. Mm-hmm. And now we think he's going to have another really good year, and he's going to do it again. Same thing with some of these young guys. Do we want that 4th year to be on the front end where they're playing 10 to 12 minutes, or on the back end where they're playing 30? We probably could use their help. But I mean, again, it's we got to do what's best for them as an individual, because these players only get 4 years and they go by fast.
Tiger Talk today brought to you by Golden Belt Bank, banking one story at a time. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis. Visit them at goldenbeltbank.com. Also a reminder, sync up the radio broadcast with the MIAA Network video feed. Listen to us on the TuneIn app. Then you can pause if we're either ahead or behind the video stream. Right at tip-off, wait till the other that's lagging catches up, and you can sync in the radio call with the TV to listen to us, especially when the Tigers are on the road. We'll take a break. More to come with head coach Mark Johnson. It's Tiger Talk today on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC from Eagle.
At BTI, we pride ourselves on providing quality John Deere equipment and customer support. Since 1944, BTI has been serving farmers and commercial operators with mowers, tractors, and compact construction equipment at an affordable price. As a leader in the ag industry, BTI offers complete technology solutions so our farmers can help keep America running. Experience the BTI difference for yourself.
Call on BTI.
Our family in partnership with your family.
This is the Tiger Sports Network.
Welcome back to Tiger Talk. 4-day state basketball season underway. Men and women both get a couple of games in over the weekend, and the busy stretch continues. Tigers hitting the road. In fact, they'll leave early tomorrow morning, head to Rapid City, South Dakota, take on South Dakota School of Mines, and then Bethel coming up on Sunday. Tiger Talk brought to you by United Rentals of Hayes, your partner for equipment rental, sales, and service. Whether it's big or small, you'll find it all at United Rentals in Hayes. Talk about a lot of players. Kyle Grill, you kind of mentioned, a guy you decided to redshirt. He kind of came on, had an honorable mention all-conference season a year ago. Kind of a slow first half in each of the first 2 games. He's been in double figures. What areas are you looking for him to maybe take that next step this year and maybe become one of those guys who could be a first-team all-conference guy? Yeah,
I mean, he's a big physical guy. He can score at all 3 levels. We feel like, he's shot the three ball really well in the preseason. Again, he's gone off to a slow start a little bit from 3 right now, but we feel like at his size he can post smaller guards at times. As you can tell this weekend, he has a really good mid-range game. And then, like I said, we think he's a capable 3-point shooter. So we got to help him find his offense at times a little bit earlier, maybe call his number a little bit with some sets and things like that.
Well, we were doing football Saturday, but we saw video of a pretty impressive dunk. In fact, you're in one of the shots. You got pretty excited on that. I mean, how could you not? That was a pretty impressive dunk by Kyle, maybe the best in his career up to this point.
Yeah, but like I said, that's a top 3 dunk in our gym I can remember over the last 20 years. I mean, he obviously can really jump. You see him in warm-ups. I mean, he's a great jumping athlete, big, strong, explosive kid in that way. And yeah, he dunked on their defender. Pretty hard. And that's, gets your team going and gets, I mean, it kind of got us back in the game a little bit. We ended up getting, that was first half, and ended up getting us the lead a little bit. It kind of energizes your team. But, yeah, very, very impressive.
Another guy I want to talk about is Lucas Hammocky. Obviously, one, it looks like he's a little healthier. I don't think people realized how he was battling that knee last year, and you could kind of see it toward the end of the year. He played more minutes and was maybe feeling a little bit better and really contributed down the stretch. But just talk about him him? Obviously, his role has changed. He's kind of taken over the role of his older brother. That's probably unfair to compare the two, but totally different players. But just what have you seen out of him, and what do you need from him this year?
Yeah, I mean, just be solid. You know, it was nice. He's made 2 threes this weekend, which is big. We don't make a lot of them, obviously, and that's something he probably hasn't shot the ball. He doesn't take a lot of them, but if he can do that, he needs to shore up turnovers. Just be solid, take care of the ball, get us in our stuff. He has a good ability. Probably the thing he does better than Caleb at times. He has a knack to finish at the rim and hit floaters. Those little 4-foot, 5-foot, really tough shots. I thought his on-ball defense was decent this weekend. I thought he did a good job on the Brayton kid from Minnesota, and kind of got beat on, which multiple guys did. We got beat on back cut drives, which that's the thing about St. Paul. They run a different type of offense that's high level and a lot of back cuts, and you get in these tournaments, you got to spend your whole preseason getting ready for your first game, and then we probably would like to have a little more time than a little 45-minute shoot around to go over and work on the things they did. I thought they really got us on some back cuts and things that off drives that really make it difficult. But Lucas needs to be that's the question for us is our backcourt. I thought Javari had a great weekend. If he can continue to score, if he can average 15 a game in that position, I think it'll be all right. Now, can he do that? We'll see. But we need our point guard play again. We just solid. Lucas, I think, is averaging double figures through the weekend, but we need to do a better job taking care of the basketball, getting our stuff, and being a solid defender.
No, that'll be the key. And it seems like he maybe bulked up a little bit. He seems like a little bit stronger than he's been up to this point.
Yeah, he's always been pretty strong kid, and that's what really helps him with his strength. And as you can tell, the game nowadays at Division II, even, you have to be. It's hard to be small as far as height-wise, and it's hard to be small physically. You have to be a big, strong kid nowadays to be a successful basketball player. People that have never really played basketball at a very high level don't understand how physical it is. And we all talk about you have to be physical on defense. Well, that just makes sense. But really, to be a good offensive player, you have to be physical. You have to be able to take bumps. You have to be able to bump people off you. You look at Lucas is able to do that. Why is Eli a good post player? He's physical. He catches it down there. He bumps people off of him and is able to finish. So, you really have to be a big, strong kid to be successful on offense also.
And people may forget that Lucas is Hutch Trinity's all-time leading scorer, not Caleb. He broke Caleb's scoring record, so he's always had that ability to put the ball in the basket. And you can see, especially in high school, he's a little bit bigger guy. He's a big, strong guy.
Like I said, he really has a great ability to just kind of in between shots, floaters, and things like that. So, that, like I said, if you see him around the rim at times, he'll make some shots that you don't expect him to make.
All right. You don't get a whole lot of time. You play back-to-back games, and you're going to be hitting the bus early tomorrow morning and heading to Rapid City, South Dakota for a midweek with South Dakota School of Mines. You don't get a lot of time to work on and improve and some of the things you want to improve on from over the weekend.
Yeah, we really don't have any. If you break it down, not only one, we needed to take the day off after playing 2 games, but legally NCAA, you got to take 1 day off, and we had practice up leading to that. So we have to take the day off, and we're going to be in a 10-hour, basically after the time you eat and stop on the way and have about an hour practice. There's not a whole lot. We're going to have to go with what we do and what we are and all that. I think as we get over Thanksgiving break, we can start making some adjustments in what we're doing. But, this year the calendar worked a little late. We always start the second Friday in November. That's the start date for D2 basketball every year. So it was a week later this year than a year ago. So you're kind of having to a whole bunch of games. I think we're starting with 6 games in 14 days or something like that to start our season. So that's pretty much playing every other day. So you'd like to get about 2 or 3 games in, then have about a week off, and you can start like I said, making the changes you needed to make. But we're just going to have to fight through this year and try to make some minor adjustments as we go along.
Been the 5th time you've played South Dakota School of Mines. They've all been in Hays. First time been up to Rapid City for basketball. They've struggled. They got a new coach, split with Texas A&M Kingsville, lost by 1, and then had a pretty convincing win. They played them back-to-back at home. He's brought in some new players. It looks like that's not going to be the South Dakota School of Mines team you faced a year ago.
No. The coach was a an assistant at Missouri S&T. They had a great year. I think they were supposed to host the regional, but they had something going on in town and couldn't host it. So this guy has come from some winning programs. He's been at a similar engineering school. He's found ways to get players that are much more athletic, got some transfers in. So it's a different team, a different look. They'll be much more talented than what we faced last year.
And then you'll get Bethel on Sunday, and as you said, maybe get a little bit of time to get going. And when you look at it, and we're not 2 weeks away from conference play. I mean, it's crazy the way the schedule is, and those are going to be two big ones on the road when we get there.
Well, we're playing Washburn on the road first week, and right now they're probably playing as the best in the country. I mean, they're pretty much beating everybody by 30-plus, and then they played the number 3 team in the country and only beat them by like 14 or 15. And then Central Missouri is a much improved team. They got to play in that exempt tournament, whatever you want to call it. So I think they've got 5 games in, maybe 4-1, and off to a really good start. New team, much more talented than they were last year, and probably not as physical as they've been, and be a different pace of play. So opening conference weekend will be one of the more challenging weekends we have all year in the season in conference play, and it just so happens it's right away, so we'll have to be ready to go.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that when those roll in. And tomorrow, or Wednesday's game, becomes big. That's an RMAC school, but it's an adjacent, so these have a little bit more weight, can kind of count them toward in-region type thing.
Yeah, we need to obviously win it because of that. Now, our league, you would hope, last year we went to the NCAA tournament, and the Northern Sun got 5 teams, and there was just no excuse for that. I mean, we watched. The MIAA had 5 teams that would have competed with them. I think the MIAA this year, we just went 15-5 opening weekend against the Northern Sun. So you're hoping we should get more bids this year than them. So we need to, get this D2 win because these are so valuable. It's so different at our level, especially playing in our region. KU can go play North Carolina, lose. It's no big deal. Yeah. Just finish the top half in the Big 12 and you're fine. For us, if we lose this game, we're going to have to be a top 2 team in the MIAA regular season standings. Otherwise, we're going to have to win the conference tournament. It's just a completely different thing. It's almost a football deal. Football, you can't afford to lose games. It's so impactful for your postseason. Division II basketball, especially in our region, where you have to have 20-something wins to even be considered. So this is a really, really important game to us.
All right, sounds good. Mark, appreciate you stopping by today. Safe travels, and we'll see you in Rapid City here on Wednesday.
All right, Gerard. Thank you.
Mark Johnson, coach of the Tigers. Again, Fort Hays State and South Dakota School of Mines. The Hard Rockers coming up Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Central Time. We'll be on the air at 7:30 with the Auto World pregame. Look your best on Tiger Game Day with official Nike gear from BSN Sports in the Sideline Store. Go to FHSUathletics.com. Click on Shop. That's where you'll find hundreds of products and designs, and they're all customizable. FHSUathletics.com. Click on Shop to open up the Tiger Team Store. We'll take a break. Women's coach Talia Cars joins us next. This is Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC from Eagle.
Looking for unique flavor at low prices? Look no further than Taco Shop in Hays. We have original, made-from-scratch Mexican food, sure to satisfy an empty stomach. Take a bite out of these delicious deals. Grab a beef or cheese enchilada, bite into a beef and bean burrito, or chow down on a Sancho. Save time with our free Taco Shop app. Have delicious fresh taste in just a few taps. Dine in, get it to go, or have it delivered. Taco Shop. You've never had it so good.
Come on down to the Taco Shop. You never had it. You never had it so good. Down to the Taco Shop.
This is the Tiger Sports Network.
Welcome back to Tiger Talk. Fort Hays State women's basketball coach Talia Cars joining us now. Tigers opening up their season over the weekend at the Central Region Showdown, St. Joseph, Missouri. They had a nice win on Friday, beat number 11 Concordia St. Paul, 84-78, and then knocked off University of Sioux Falls, 84-75 in their second game on Saturday. And Coach, good start, obviously. And I know you really like this event. It's in St. Joe. It's a neutral court site. You face teams, usually from the Northern Sun, but it's Central Region teams. And kind of a good barometer of where you are. It's always good competition, well run. A lot of times that's the side of the Final Four for women's basketball. And that always seems to be a pretty good event. You got to be happy with how, obviously, you went 2-0. You got to be really happy about how things went.
Yeah, can't get better than 2-0. So I guess that was good. We learned some stuff about our team, what we need to get better at, things we did well. I thought we did a good job of grinding it out in that first game, especially winning a close one with a bunch of young kids. I think is exciting and build some confidence, I think. So that was nice to see. And then second day ended up a little closer than I think we were anticipating it to be, and just things to learn.
Every game's a learning experience. And we talked with Coach Johnson a moment ago. You're kind of the same boat. You've got some veterans who played a lot of games and have seen a lot of things. And then you got a batch of new girls who this is all brand new and for some different roles, playing a little bit more. So every year's different, even if you have a lot of returners. But this is really different because you have a lot of new faces to go along with the veterans.
Yeah, we do. And they're ready to go, and they're learning a lot, and they're super coachable. So I think they're in the mindset that they're ready to play, and I feel pretty good about putting them in there in different spots with different rotations. And that's for me trying to figure out who can play with who and when we can be successful in those rotations and who we shouldn't be playing together, and then figuring out what to run with that group in.
Well, you mentioned kind of holding on against Concordia St. Paul. You knew they were going to come back. You got off to such a hot start. You're hitting the 3-ball, and they're too good. They're preseason number 11 in the country, NCAA tournament team a year ago. In fact, I think they were number 2 in the region. So you knew they're going to give you a battle, and for your team to find a way to hold them off, and you had to make some big free throws and get some stops down the stretch to do that. That had to be a big confidence builder for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. We started out the game, really, really well. We said that at halftime we remember how well we shot it, and don't count on that the second half. We got to do some different things defensively. They did a good job of pressuring our guards too. So we faced kind of a full court. Brooke really did face a full court pressure the whole game. And then they were just really tough and physical with us on the perimeter. But I thought we did a good job of handling that. And then especially late in the game, had some weird whistles in the last minute, and I actually asked our head of officials, is that a normal thing? Is that going to be every time? And they said no, just a clock thing, just to make sure the clock was right. And so when they're full court pressing and the whistle's blown every time, that put us in a little bit of a bind. But I thought we did a good job of handling that and taking care of the ball, and then knocking down those free throws late were huge.
Yeah, you're 5 of 6 from 3 in the first quarter, shot 65%, well over 60 for the first half, and at the first half in that game, you're 7 of 10 from 3. That helps to get you off to a good start, but there's a lot of basketball left, but you found a way to do it. I guess Telexa Weeder kind of stands out. She had a pretty good opening weekend.
Yeah, she did, which we kind of expected, but she did a good job, especially for playing 40 minutes that first game. I thought she really just continued to grind it out, and then the second day just continued to play with that urgency and that level of competition that she's capable of doing. I thought we did a good job of getting their ball where she could score on it, and then she spaced a lot of different defenders. They were all playing a lot of different people on her, and I thought she did a good job of adjusting with every person that they put on her.
Obviously, she's been a big part since her freshman year. She has played, but her role's different. I mean, when you're coming off the bench, and she was named to the all-conference team as a six-man, basically, had that great conference tournament last year. But it's different when you start. It seems like she's handling that pretty well.
Yeah, no, she worked hard over the summer and came in really fit, and I asked her what was her thought going into the summer and then into this preseason, and she said, well, I thought I'd probably play a little bit more, and I was a little tired last year, so I decided to do some things different, and you can see that. You can see that I didn't feel the need to take her out in that first game because she didn't look tired. Should I have? Probably, just because we played a doubleheader, probably. But I don't think we saw it affect her super a lot on the Saturday either. But she just is really taking care of her body, doing the things that she needs to do, and serious about what she's trying to get done on the floor.
Brooke Levy obviously has been a mainstay at point guard, and we know what she can do there. But it looks like her scoring is up a little bit, and then probably with what you lost a lot of offense. She's going to have to do that, but it was good to see her knock down a few shots. Good to see her hit a few layups. I know she's been working on it, but that's been a problem sometimes in her game finishing, but did a much better job this weekend.
Yeah, both teams had really good point guards. So it seems that when people start talking to her, kind of jabbing her a little bit, she gets a little fired up and wants to score more, which is good to see because we need that out of her. I think we also have a lot of different people that can score, and so I think it almost opens it up for her a little bit more too, that they're not so focused on her. They got to worry about some other people too, and so it just gives her opportunities to score when she can.
You've got a lot of new faces on the team, and I went to some of the practices early. You had some close scrimmages, got to watch, and even the KU exhibition game. Imagine your freshmen are kind of understanding if she's got the ball and you're down court, you better be ready. Have your head on the swivel because you might be getting the ball quicker than you maybe are used to in some of those situations.
Yeah, no, that's what we tell them. Put your head down and go, and then if you get something, great, and if you don't, great. And so they're running the floor really hard, looking and anticipating it. And I think something that Mortensen does really well in that full court is she can always play off a two. And so she's not forcing something up that she shouldn't. She's able to catch it on two and then make a really good play. And I think she's doing that really well on the full court, and then obviously in the half court, she had a really nice game that second game, hitting some outside shots.
Yeah, and that's I know a freshman you're excited about. Left-handed. To me, it feels like, and it shouldn't compare because you've had such great players, but kind of a cross between Kate Dilsaver, her motor. Seems like she can just go, but then you have a little bit of Katie DeGarmo, kind of a hybrid of those two things.
Yeah, no, I think she is. I think she's a perfect combo of the two of them. A little more dynamic on the offensive end maybe than both of them, or a good combo of both of them on the offensive end, and is figuring out how to play defense on the point guard and has a little bit more size, a little bit more physicality on the point guard, which I think point guards struggle with that. And so that's been nice to be able to throw her in that spot, and she's just a really smart defender on the ball and even away from the ball. She's in the right spot and help a lot too.
Well, it's nice to have someone you can play point and give Levy just a little bit of a break because she's got the ball in her hands most of the day.
Yeah, and it's nice to have Brooke back on defense too, to be able to communicate and get people where they need to be instead of having to stop the ball. I think that eliminates some stuff in transition because she's back there telling people where to go.
I want to ask you about Avery Lowe a little bit. Redshirted, played very little. Now, obviously, she's starting, and looks like she's put on a little weight and has really elevated her game. She's taken that next step, it looks like, going into this year.
Yeah, Avery, she wants to play so bad, and she works at it so hard, watches a ton of film. She knows where the ball needs to go. She does a great job of executing and running the offense really well, and I know that she's somebody that's going to run the offense right and get the ball where it needs to go and not shoot when she shouldn't, but she's willing to and able to knock down a shot when she's open, and is able to just get some minutes in, which is fun to see because she's a great person. She's a great leader, and really has a knack for basketball when it comes to the mind. And so getting the ball where it needs to go is huge.
Seems like you've always had one or two of them. I mean, everybody understands the game, but one or two who really gets it and can really kind of lead. And it seems like she's taken that role this year. I know Kate Dilsaver was maybe one of the most brilliant basketball minds on the court in her time, and it seems like Avery's kind of taken that charge this year.
Yeah, she has. She really cares about the game and wants to get it right, and she spends as many hours in film as anybody, just trying to do the tiny things right, and she does that really well. But I think overall as a team, have a really smart team when it comes to basketball and understanding what we're trying to do and are taking the time to study the plays. And I think we saw that change from Friday to Saturday. Even we executed a little bit better on the offensive end, just because we executed and ran the play better.
We'll talk more about some of the freshmen here in a little bit, but one thing that kind of stands out, we saw it early in the preseason through some of the scrimmages and the KU exhibition, and now these first two games, your bigs can step out and shoot the three, and it's not – I mean, you feel comfortable with that. It seems like that's an element that all three of them can come out and do.
Yeah, that's something that we were excited about with bringing Caitlin in, because we knew Avery and Telexa both could do that, and really Sarah can too, is that we're able to spread the floor if we want to and allow other people to get in there or allow more people to drive, just because we can take it off the bounce pretty well, and so it spreads it out and it makes that five-man have to come out and guard them. And I think on Saturday they chose not to guard Caitlin out there. They were inside the free throw line the whole game, and I just said, don't be afraid to shoot it. And so they've got to honor him because they're shooting it pretty well right now.
Well, we'll talk more about the freshman class, an exciting freshman class for the Tiger women here in just a little bit. Tiger Talk brought to you by BTI, your full-service John Deere dealer. Locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family in partnership with your family. We'll take a break. More with Talia Cars next on Tiger Talk here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC from Eagle.
This is the Tiger Sports Network.
Welcome back to Tiger Talk. It's brought to you by The Taco Shop. Order by phone. Use the Taco Shop app. Dine in, carry out, or delivery. The Taco Shop. You've never had it so good. Gerard Welbrock, head women's basketball coach Talia Cars, our first basketball program of the year. And again, if you want to chime in with a question, go to FHSUathletics.com. Click on fans. You'll get the drop-down menu, and you'll see on the lower right corner, Tiger Talk Ask the Coach. Chance to win a Mix 103.3 t-shirt if we use your question. Tiger women 2-0, beat nationally ranked Concordia St. Paul. And a Sioux Falls team Saturday who was expected to do well. I know they've lost maybe their best player to an injury in the preseason, unfortunately for them. But you kind of touched on it. They gave you a pretty good battle in that contest. And your gals really had to work to win it, which is okay this time of the year.
Yeah, no, we came out again. We talked about it before the game that it was obvious on Friday that they came out and executed and were really focused on what we needed to get done, and we needed that same focus on Saturday, and I thought we did. We started the game really well, executed, took good shots, knocked shots down, and I think that shows that they were prepared and they were mentally into it and they were ready to go. And then just kind of struggled on the defensive end. I felt like in the first half we were up 20, and then I looked up and we're up 8, and just felt like we couldn't get away from them. But we need to get better on defense. And then the second half, put some kids in to get some time and just figure out rotations and get some experience. And then they kind of let them back in. So we had to put people back in again. But always learning and trying to figure out what we can do.
We'll talk here in just a second about some of the new faces on the team. We talked a little bit about Olivia already, but as a coach, I mean, you look at the Fort Hays State teams the last couple of years. I mean, you've had a lot of returners. You've had the core of your teams back year after year after year after year. You kind of knew what you had. You started out at a high level. The ceiling wasn't that great because you were playing at a high level from the opening tap. It felt sometimes you're just rolling the ball out, don't screw it up. Obviously this year's different with so many new faces and so many new roles. As a coach and your staff, have you enjoyed it maybe in some ways more? Because it just feels like there's more teaching and things like that going on this year than maybe you guys have had to do in a long, long time.
Yeah, definitely lots of teaching. Can't take anything for granted. In the past, I'd say a word and they knew what it was and we go do it. And now I have to teach them what that word means and what that looks like on the court. So I think for the returners, it's probably been a lot, and it's been monotonous because they know everything we're talking about, but they're great kids and they're great leaders, and so they're bringing them along as we're learning. And then the kids that we're trying to teach, they're super coachable. So that's been a lot of fun. I think when you're trying to teach and to learn, if they're soaking it up, then let's learn more and let's teach more. And so it's been a really fun group because they're hungry. They're willing to learn different positions. They're willing to try new things. They're trying to figure out their roles. And just keep trying to tell them that we don't expect them to do anything they can't do, but we want them to do the things they do really well.
Well, you've got quite a few of them in the action. We talked about Olivia. She played 31 minutes both games, and looks like she's going to fit in just well. Some of the other freshmen, Caitlin Schumann, the 6'4" post out of Colorado. She's a little bit different post than maybe you've had in the past, a little bit bigger, maybe not as fast, but she's not going to get pushed around, and we've seen she's deceptively athletic and has a good shot, and we talked about her ability to shoot the three-point ball.
Yeah, no, definitely very different from Olivia Hollenbeck, and I think our guards from the past are still trying to figure out how to pass Caitlin the ball, because it's completely different than how we passed Olivia ball for the advantage, and Caitlin's able to just sit down and get her the ball, and where Olivia was on the move a lot and it was better for her to be moving, Caitlin's not that way, and so we're still trying to adjust to that and figure that out. And for me, try to figure out how to get her in the best position, whether it's in the low block or whether it's off a pick and roll or whether it's on the perimeter, because she can do all three. So that's a nice advantage to have, just because they've got a guarder out there, and she's able to make a really nice pass too when we can get her to her maybe at the elbow. She's a really good passer too, and so it's been fun.
Well, and we saw in the KU second half, she didn't back down for the Jayhawks bigs, and that was fun to see. So it's like she's got some fight in her, no doubt about that.
Yeah, their backup, actually, she played in high school, so there was a little bit, I think, when she got in that second half, it was like, I know you, I know I can score on you, and so I think you saw a little bit of that fire come out here and say, you know what, I can do this.
couple of the other ones who saw considerable minutes. Britton Zika from Wellington. She, especially in the first game against Concordia St. Paul, played 15 minutes. Didn't score a whole lot, but boy, you can really see the athleticism. I know a lot of folks around the state, and she played against Hayes High in the Colby tournament out there. High ceiling, and it's going to be fun to watch her develop. And she looks like the motor just goes, and obviously very skilled and talented.
Yeah, she is. She's another one that really understands the game. We put her at a couple different positions this weekend, and she's somebody that can step in and play those different spots. Used her a lot in that first game just for the physicality of it and the defensive side of things. And she can take care of the ball. She can handle the ball. She can get the ball where it needs to go. She's not maybe going to be a huge scorer, but she's doing all the other things really well, and those are the things that we're lacking a little bit right now. And so she stepped into that role in that first game especially, and got done what we needed to get done.
Michaela Pilley out of Missouri, Springfield, just a solid-looking freshman. Again, a little bit more size, which, I mean, Fort Hays State's been spoiled. You've had guards with good size, which has been an advantage, but it seems like she's another one got a real good feel for the game, and excited to watch her development.
Yeah, Michaela's our gym rat, so she's in the gym more than anybody. She's in there at least 1 hour a day extra out of practice, just getting shots up, shooting it all the time, and then really loves the game of basketball and cares about it a lot. And so she's just continuing to learn and figure out her role. She's somebody that we're only going to see, I think, just really get better over the course of the year as she continues to understand what she can do at this level on defense and offense. But she's really she's understanding it on defense a lot better, and then offensively she's just going to find her niche and go with it.
One of the veterans I didn't mean to not talk about, but Ellie Stearns, obviously. And, she's been kind of a streak shooter, and I know you're looking for a little more consistency. Shot it great on Friday, maybe not as good as on Saturday, but she's one of those players, when you look up at the end of the game, does so many little things. Some do show up on the stat sheet, rebounding, steals, different stuff, and a lot that don't. And so, I mean, sometimes I think we get wrapped up in if they can shoot the ball well, don't shoot the ball well. That's the nice thing about Ellie. Those other elements don't change, right, even if she's not shooting. If she can just have a consistent shooting year, watch out.
Yeah, and that's something that we've talked to her about a lot is I don't need you to score a lot, and if you do, great, but just understanding her shot selection, because it's all those other things, those intangible things, rebounding especially. She has a knack to find the ball when she goes every time, and that's huge, especially right now. That's something that we're lacking in a little bit, is that she can get the rebound and go. Then that's what we need her to do. She's able to stop the point guard too. Her and Olivia can kind of both take on that role, which is nice to not have it on somebody the whole game. Give the other person a break, and really get in somebody, give the point guard maybe a different look if she's scoring on one of them more. But she does the intangible things. She also knows the offense. She knows how to execute. She gets the ball where she's a great passer. So, again, she's doing those things that, like you said, you don't necessarily see, but it's something that we need from her, and she does really well.
You mentioned the defense, and with a lot of new faces and really a different team in the sense of parts and everything, I would imagine that might take a little while to get everybody, because, like we said, you've had veteran teams and everybody knew what they were doing, and you can just plug them in and go.
Yeah.
Obviously, defense, maybe not to where level you want right now, but does this team have a chance to be pretty solid there, you think?
I think so. We're still trying to figure out kind of what we want to do or what our niche is on that end of the floor, and so still learning it with that. But I think that'll come, and we'll get it figured out. Communication is something that we just really keep harping on both sides of the floor, but especially on the defensive end is just watching film. You can tell they're pointing and they're talking, and then those possessions we usually get a steal. On other possessions where they're not communicating and they're assuming the other person knows what they're going to do, then that's when we usually screw something up. And so that's something that we're really trying to focus in on, is just talking to each other, and they usually guard it just perfect.
Well, it'll be interesting to watch that develop, because as we know, that's such a vital part, and we've been blessed over the years, some really good, there's been some great scores and some great players, but I think the level of defense doesn't get as much credit as it has. And hey, you want to go far, and I know the goals don't change from year to year. You got to be good defensively.
Yep. Nope. And that's something that we're working on, trying to figure out. But that's why I think on Saturday it was like, why aren't we pulling away from these guys? It was because we weren't getting stops, because we were executing and putting the ball in the hoop. We just weren't getting the stops that we had normally gotten in the past. Right now,
does this team have a chance maybe be a little better offensively than we've seen the last few years?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's more threats, so you can't really hone in. You can't mess with somebody, because somebody else is going to step up, have just more opportunities to score with different people than we have in the past.
Tiger Talk brought to you today by Royal Roofing, the #1 local local roofing company, roofing, guttering, siding, and windows. Call today for a free estimate. Give your home the royal treatment with Royal Roofing. We're going to take our final break. We'll preview the weekend ahead. Tigers heading to Wichita, to Newman. They'll face a couple of non-conference foes on Friday and Saturday. We'll preview that when we return here on Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC from Eagle.
Tired of equipment that's seen better days? Or maybe you have a project that requires a bigger machine than you own. This is Blake from United Rentals in Hayes, and we have you covered. Whether you're a contractor, a farmer, or working on your own project, we've got the machinery you need. Big or small, and everything in between, you can rent it for a day, a week, or a month. And if you're looking to own, we have a huge inventory of reliable used equipment for sale. Plus, we can service and repair the equipment you already own. Stop by United Rentals on South Vine in Hayes. We're your one-stop shop for rentals, used equipment sales, and repairs.
This is the Tiger Sports Network.
Back one final segment here on Tiger Talk. It's brought to you today by the Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, offering the most comprehensive and advanced orthopedic care in western Kansas. Why travel hours when the best in the region is right here at Hayes Med? Tiger women off to a 2-0 start. They'll be in Wichita Friday and Saturday. Newman hosting a little classic there. Tigers will face Eastern New Mexico and William Jewell College. Both, I think, are 3 o'clock Central Time. This schedule's crazy. It's kind of like, when's the next game? Where do we need to be? But that'll be on Friday and Saturday. We'll have them both here on Tiger Radio Mix 103.3. And I guess just you take a preview look ahead, back-to-back games against some different opponents you haven't played. But, boy, Eastern had a really good year. You look at the women's basketball college landscape. I don't think Eastern New Mexico comes to mind as one of the teams, but they had a really good year last year, and looks like they've got a decent core back. That'll be a good challenge on Friday.
Yeah, they do. They play a lot of people. They're going to full court press the whole game pretty much. And so just learning tendencies on people, how to guard them, will be crucial, and then being able to break a press and get it up the floor quick, which I feel hopeful of, but you never know until you see it and what it's going to look like.
And then you come back around William Jewell College. I think a program trying to get things back on track, but these back-to-back games early, that second day can be a bit of a challenge, because I know, like Mark said, you put a lot of effort into Friday's first game.
Yep. Nope. And you're wanting to win that first game first, and you got to do what you got to do to get it done. Not thinking about the next day, and you're hopeful that the next day there's enough gas to go into that next day. But also they played a game too. So I don't think too much into it unless we have an opportunity to maybe get some subs in and out. But really want to focus on the game ahead. We always talk about how today's game is the most important game of the year because it's today, and that's what we can control. So thinking about that, and then William Jewell will be different. New coach, different kids than they had in the past. But I think they're getting some games under their belt too, so we'll see.
Well, it'll be fun, and you get a nice week to practice. So that's got to be nice. You got those 2 in, you get some time to work on it before going back out there the next time.
Yeah, having 4 days in a week is really nice, and not having the day between. Shorter scout on Saturday, but I think the girls probably like it better that way anyway.
Yeah, they want to play anyway. Coach, appreciate the time. Have a good week of practice, and we'll see you in Wichita on Friday.
Thanks, Shard.
That's Talia Cars, coach of the Tigers, and that's going to wrap up Tiger Talk today. Again, busy week, basketball here. Wednesday night we'll be in Rapid City, 8 p.m. Central, 7:30 with the Auto World pregame, and then we'll have the women Friday afternoon, 2:30 pregame with Eastern New Mexico. Saturday afternoon, 2:30 pregame with William Jewell, and then the men are back at home Sunday against Bethel College. That'll be a 2 o'clock tip. We'll be on the air at 1:30, so we'll talk to you then. Thanks for joining us today for Tiger Talk. We'll see you again next Monday here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC from Eagle.